All right, this is Daf Yomi in motion, number 803. Here we're going to learn Daf Pei Gimel in Metzia, and we're going to be talking about Niskal Posheha. When a person is carrying something and he trips, so that is, we paskin, and that's considered he should have watched where he's going. He's Posheha, even though he didn't mean to trip. And any damage that he causes from that, he will be chayav for. More begins on Daf Pei Gimel Amid Aleph, 5 lines down from the top. We were just talking about we had whether or not Niskal was Posheha. We had Rabbi Elazar, who was learning that there were two brises, and each one was in the name of Rabbi Meir, and they were contradicting each other. So Rabbi Elazar was learning that we have to learn that the Amor that was learning one brise in the name of Rabbi Meir was not the same Amor, and that's why they came out learning Rabbi Meir differently. And then we had another mahalach in how to learn the brises, and that was according to Rabbi other mahalachim of how to learn the brises, that we could still learn that Rabbi Elazar could possibly still be the Tana Kama of our Mishnah. But another mahalach in how to understand the steer between the brises in the name of Rabbi Meir is according to this way. Rabbi Chia bar Abba is cholok on the mahalach of Rabbi Elazar. Rabbi Elazar wanted to split those brises and say that they were not the same person, but Rabbi Chia bar Abba wants to learn that they can be the same person, and even though they're learning, they seem to be contradicting each other, it's not going to be a problem. As we saw on the pay base, Amid base, just after the Mishnah, we said that Rabbi Meir was clearly learning in the Gemara after the Mishnah. It says Tana Rabbanan Hamavir. Hamavir chovis l'chaber, or someone who's carrying a chovis for somebody, makam l'makam, v'shibara, and it broke. So bein shomer chinam, bein shomer sachar, yishova divrei Rabbi Meir. That was Rabbi Meir. That means that if he's learning that even a shomer sachar can make a shvuos shomrim, which means that he wasn't posheya, declaring that he wasn't posheya. So that would seem to imply if he can that Niskal is not Posheha, because when the person says, if he is a Shomer Socher declaring that he was not Posheha, so it wouldn't, if Niskal was Posheha and he had tripped, and then he's now going to be potter by declaring that he wasn't Posheha, it wouldn't have helped him, because he will anyway be chayiv for things even for other things beyond Posheha, which are even lighter things besides Posheha, like karov the Posheha. Anything which is not onus gomer, he is chayav for, like we see that a shomer socher is chayav on the name of Veda. So if Rabbi Meir is learning that he can be potter with a shvuz that he wasn't Posheha, it must be that the Niskal, the tripping itself, was not Posheha, and therefore he is then making a shvua is pottering him on the other, that on anything beyond that. That shouldn't help him either, And that's that really shouldn't help him either. And Rabbi Elazar was bothered by that, and he said, why should that help him? Because even if he makes a shvu that he wasn't posher, he is chayav on geneva ve'aveda. But there was another brisa after that on the second wide line, we said, Tani, we learned in the brisa, nishbara kada, if somebody was walking and he broke the kad, lo silku, and he didn't pick up the pieces, or noflo gamlo, or if his camel fell, velo hamida, and he didn't pick it up. Rabbi Meir mechayev hezekon. Rabbi Meir says he's chayev for everything that happens for not having picked it up. The Rabbanan say that he's potter b'dinei odom v'chayev b'dinei shemaim, and the machlokas there was whether Niskal is Posheha or not. So if he was and we're learning that right. I don't want to go back all the way into that sugya, but here this is here. So Rabbi Elazar was learning that the two brises are not being learned by the same Amora. But here in Pei Gimel Amud Aleph, 5 lines down, so Omer Rabbi Chia bar Abba, Omer Rabbi Yochanan, Shavu Zu, this Shavu that he's making in order to potter himself, Zu Tekanas Chachamim. It's a Tekanas Chachamim. And that's why that even though, true, in the first brisa, that a shomer sacher should not be able to make a shvuos that he was not posheya, and then be able to be potter, because a shomer sacher is chayiv on gneva v'aveda, and just true, he's chayiv on pshia, but making a shvu that he wasn't posheya will not help him, because he is anyway chayiv for the fact that it was, if he tripped and broke it, or he's chayiv on geneva veda. So it's also in that getter. It's korov lepshia is also he's chayiv for. So then it wouldn't have helped him. But why does he make a shvuah and able to be potter? Because that shavua, the chacham were geyser that he, even a shomer sacher, should be able to make a shvuah that he wasn't posheya and be potter. And it's a takana. Why was it takana? She'im yata omer came. If we wouldn't allow people that would like carry vessels for other people, if they're getting paid or if they're just doing it as a favor, so then nobody would want to be a porter, because they would know that if Niskal was Posheha, and they're being paid for it, so then they wouldn't be able to be, even if they didn't mean to trip and break it, they'll be higher. So they had to make a gezerah that if they will be able to make a shvuah and be potter from, in the case where they did trip, as long as they can, right? Even if we would say that Niskal is Posheha. So Iyata Omer Kain Ein Allah Ein Lecha Adam Hamavir Chovis Lechavero Mimakam Lemakam. You won't have anyone that will be a porter, because they'll be afraid of slipping and breaking it. Hechi, what does he make? What type of a shvuah does he make? Because like we learned that even if he would say he wasn't Posheha, he will still be chayiv, because it's for the fact that it was, because he's even chayav on things less than pshia, like gneva v'aveda, and therefore pshia shouldn't really help him. The shvuah shouldn't really help him in the case where he tripped and broke it, because that's in the gather of gneva v'aveda. So Hechi Mishtava, what shvuah does he make? Omar Rava, shvuah shelo b'kavana shavate. That he makes a shvuah, I didn't do it on purpose. As long as he didn't do it on purpose, so then that's the takana of the chachamim, that he's allowed to be potter, even though that normally that he would be a shomer sacher would be chayiv for things like breaking it and losing it and having it stolen while he's watching it, things which are karov l'pshia and they're not on this gomer. Omer Rabba, shvu shelo, right? Shvu shelo bekavana shvarte. Also Rebbe Yehuda, and then we saw in that brisa, in the first brisa, on pay base on the base, that then Rebbe Yehuda said that after Rebbe Meir told us that doesn't matter whether he is a shomer chinam or a shomer sachar, he can make a shvu mipata. Rebbe Yehuda said no. It each depends. For a shomer chinam, he can make a shvus that he wasn't poshe and be pata because the only thing that shomer chinam can be chayav for is pshia and nothing more. So if he makes a shvu that he wasn't poshe, he'll be pata. But a shomer sachar, he can't be. But a shomer sachar will have to pay because a shvus that he wasn't poshe doesn't help him because he can be chayav for things even less than being negligent. That's what Yehuda says. A shomer sachar will have to pay. Shomer chinam can make that shvua. And then we had, that's what the Gemara says. But also Rabbi Yehuda in that price. L'meimar shomer chinam yishova noisei sachar yishalem. The shomer sachar will pay. In other words, because Rabbi Meir held that there was a tekanas chachamim, Rabbi Yehuda held there was no tekanas chachamim, and it was just going according to the din of each type of shomer, whether they can make the shvu or not. But according to Rabbi Meir, both of them will make a shvu because it's a tekanas chachamim, in order that people will still want to do that type of work. And Rabbi Yehuda said, "Haikadine, but haikadine, each one according to their din. A shomer chinam will make the shvur; he can be potter, and a shomer sachar can't make. He'll have to pay because he can't make the shvus shomer that he wasn't posheya and be potter." Also, Rabbi Elazar then came, which we saw in our Mishnah, but it's still a bit in the same inyan, and gave a third shita in this inyan. Also Rabbi Elazar lemeimar ein in Gemara Rabbi Meir. True, that's the halach like Rabbi Meir, that each one can make a shvu and be potter. But Rabbi Elazar doesn't understand why it should be that way. So they don't understand why both of them should be able to make a shvus that he wasn't posher and be potter. That because he held like Rabbi Elazar here was holding like Rabbi Yehuda, that Niskal see in the Rashi about 6 lines up from where we are in the Gemara. Also Rabbi Yehuda lefluge on Rabbi Meir lemeimar Niskal lo posheya. Rabbi Meir was saying Niskal is posheya, and it was just a tekanas chachamim that the shomer sachar should still also be able to make the shvu be potter. Who krov l'aynis? It's krov l'aynis because he didn't mean to trip. So it's a posheya which is krov l'aynis l'pshia. Krov l'aynis l'pshia. V'dame l'geneva ve'aveda, and it's dame to a geneva ve'aveda. So therefore, a shomer sachar would be chayav on it. The tekanas chachamim ein kan. According to Rabbi Yehuda, there's no tekanas chachamim here. It's just each type of shomer according to what he can make, what he would be potter with. Ela haiki dine v'haiki dine. But then Rabbi Elazar came and said, true, halacha is like Rabbi Meir. He's holding like Rabbi Yehuda that niskal, tripping, is not considered negligence. In Gemara ki Rabbi Meir, Tishneihem Pturn, that both of them, the shomer sachar and the shomer chinam, can be potter. B'shavua shamati. That's what Rabbi Elazar heard. Apani, he heard it. V'miyu tamia ani, but I don't understand it. B'shlema shomer chinam. I can understand shomer chinam. Mishtava d'lo poshe. He can make a shvu that he wasn't posheya and be potter. The anava alma ki Rabbi Yehuda spherely because Rabbi Elazar holds like Rabbi Yehuda that Niskal is love posheya. The Niskal love posheya who below onus. He's not posheya when he tripped, and therefore he doesn't understand. He can understand why the shomer chinam can make the shvua that he wasn't posheya because just tripping wasn't automatic Posheha. But he doesn't understand how the shvua that he wasn't Posheha will help a Shomer Socher. It doesn't help him. Shomer Socher, he should still be chayav. So Rabbi Elazar was holding Rabbi Yehuda. So the Gemara goes on, Bishlem Shomer Chinam. This is Rabbi Elazar. Mishdovad Shelo Posha, that he wasn't Posheha. Ela Shomer Socher, the Shomer Socher, Amai Mishdova, why should he make the shvua? Kilo Posha, why should he make the shvua that he wasn't Posheha? Kilo Posha Nami, even if he wasn't Posheha, he could still be chayav because he's chayav on Geneva Veda, things which are Karov Le'oinus and Karov Le'pshia and Karov Le'oinus. Nami, boy, the Shluma, he would still have to pay. So how can he putter himself? But if you lose Shomer Chinam, even a Shomer Chinam, we learned this before, how can a Shomer Chinam just make a Shavua and be potter? It all depends. Let's say he's walking the animal in a flat land. If a person, and then he would trip and it would hurt the animal, how can he make a Shavua that he wasn't Posheha? The essence fact that he tripped when it was flat is Pshia. So we say, Afilu Shomer Chinam, he's not getting paid for watching this animal. How can he be potter with a Shavua that he wasn't Posheha? Nami, Tinach b'makam mediron. It's good if we look at a place. It's slanty. He's taking the animal in a slanty place, and it's easy for the animal to slip and fall. And he says he wasn't Posheha. He did everything in his power to keep him from slipping, and it slipped. So then you can understand that he wouldn't be considered that he was Posheha, because it's possible to fall and without being Posheha. However, if it's in a flat place, how can he say that he wasn't Posheha negligent? How did it trip then if he was in a flat place? So even in the case with the Shomer Chinam, how can he put himself with that claim? All right, we are Pei Gimel Amud Aleph, down in the wide lines of the Amud of the Gemara, down around 9 lines. So we said that even with a Shomer Chinam, if it's in a Makam, we can understand if it's in a Makam Mediron, that if it's place that is slanty and it's possible that it did fall without him having done anything wrong. Nami, Hatinach. So even in the place, we said we understood if it was in a slanty place, we can understand how the Shomer Chinam could make a shvua and be potter. But if it was in a flat place, how can he make a shvua that he wasn't Posheha and be potter? Because obviously, any time it'll fall down when it's in a flat place, it will be it's going to be considered Pshia. And the Gemara goes on and says, even in a slanty place where we said that the Shomer Chinam could make a shvua and be potter, even there it's going to depend if he can make a shvua and be potter. Feel b'makam she mediron shelo b'makam feel b'makam mediron nami hatinach heicha de leker raya. We can understand that I can make a shvua and be potter when there's no people there, and the only way for him to be potter is by making a shvua. Heicha de ika raya nesi raya v'vi potter. However, if there was people there, we know that you're not allowed to. You can't rely on a shvua to potter oneself when there's adim that can be brought to testify again about the event. The time we learn Isi ben Yehuda Omer Ein Raya Shvu Hashem Tieh Ben Shneim. If there's no one there that could have seen the event, then a shvua can help to be potter a person. So. Ben Shneim. Hayesh Raya, but if there was possibly somebody there that could have seen what happened, so Yavi Raya V Potter. You should bring the Adim, and that's the way he should be Potter. So therefore, we could understand that the Brisa, that where Rebbe Meir was learning that even the Shomer Socher can make a Shvua and be Potter, and that's because it was That's because it was a Tekanas Chachamim. And therefore, even though he holds that on Niskal is Posheha, you could still hold that Niskal is Posheha, like he held in the second brisa, and it's not a stira between the two brises in Rabbi Meir. Just that in one of the brises, he was able to Shomer Sacher could be still make the shvu and be potter, even though that normally if tripping had been negligence, he wouldn't have been able to make a shvu that he wasn't negligent, wouldn't have helped him anyway because he is potter for he's chayav on Geneva Vaveda also. So what's he making the shvu for? He had some tripping was a pshia. So then the way that it was, he was able to be potter because it was exer d'Rabbanan. That he should be able to do such a thing in order that people will be willing to take on a job like this of being a porter, carrying things for people. And they don't have to worry about tripping and then breaking something and being responsible. Right. Vahu. Right, so we had Rebbe Elazar and Rebbe Yehuda. They both held that Niskal is Lav Posheha, and Rebbe Meir held that Niskal is Posheha. And the halacha is Niskal is Posheha. Hau Gabra, the Habika Maver Chavisa, the Chamira, the Ristoka, the Mechuza. So he was walking and bringing in barrels of wine through the Shus Rabbim in the middle of the street in Mechuza. The Savra, the Ziza, the Mechuz, and he broke the barrels on beams that were sticking out from the buildings. They were jutting out. So Oslik made the Rava, came the Rava, Omalei, Ristoka, the Mechuza, Shchiche Bo Inche. It's common, there are people there. So how are we going to decide this case? You have to bring the people to testify whether or not banging it into the Ziza was an act of Pshia or it was totally honest. So Zil, I say, Rai, go bring some people to testify about this. Be potter, and then you'll be potter. Omalei Rav Yosef Brei, his son of Rava, told him, "Come on, how are you learning this? That he has to bring, he can't rely on his shul. He has to bring Edim. Is that like Isi ben Yehuda? Come on, Ki Isi. Omalei, yeah, that's how we pass like Isi. That if there's possible to bring Edim have to be brought, and you can't rely just on shvuz. Omalei Ki Isi v'sfirlan kivasi. That's how we pass it. How Gabra the Omalei the Chabre told his friend Zil Zabenli Abo Mea Dane Chamira. Go buy for me 400 barrels of wine. Ozil Zabenli, he went and he bought him the barrels of wine. The Seif also made in the end, he came in front of the one that had sent him. Omalei Zvine Lach Abo Mea Dane Chamira. I bought you 400 barrels of wine. The sakifu lahu, and they all went into vinegar. They fermented. They went into vinegar. They went off. They went bad. So the one who bought it with his own money. He wants to be paid for that. And the one that ordered them doesn't want to pay for vinegar. So also look made the Rava, Omalei, Abamei Dani, Chamira, Sakife, Kola Eslo, Lemilsa. That if that should happen, that 400 barrels of wine should be sold and be bad, people will know about it. So go and bring some of those people that know about the case. Zilai say Raya Dmiakora Ki Mizvanit Lahu Chamira. When you first brought the wine, Chamira Malya have it. The potter, go bring people that can testify that when you first brought the wine was good wine, and then later, then you'll be pot. Then you really bought him good wine. Later it went off, and you will be potter in a case like that. Omalei Rav Yosef, Berei. So Rav Yosef, the son of Rava, told him, "Come on, who's that? Are you going like Isi again? Ki Isi ben Yehuda? Omalei In, yes. Ki Isi v'svirlan kavos, and we hold like him." that whenever you can bring Edim should be brought and don't rely on Shavuos. Iskin Rav Chia bar Yosef, the Sichra, he was misakin in the place of Sichra. So Hani Didaru Ba'agre. It was a type of a way to carry things. Rashi says opposite where we are on the Gemara up 3 lines. Didaru Ba'agre, a mot kofuf. It's like a bow. It's like a bent pole, goes over the shoulders, and then they put a bucket on both sides. So if a person was carrying that, Didaru Ba'agre, the Tova, and then what he was carrying broke. So the takana was nishalem palga. He has to pay for half, and the owner who sent him has to pay the other half. So why should it be like that? So the Gemara says, my time of why? So nofish lechad. The reason is because nofish lechad v'zuter litrei. Because it's too much for one to carry, but it's too little for for two to carry. So what people did, they would be ma'amatz, and they would go, and one person would usually try to carry it. So therefore, it's karav la'onis. It's like he's oinus. That's what people did. They tried to pick up something that was too heavy for one person. Anyway, so karav la'onis v'karav l'pshia. That's why they split the loss. And in the case of bedigle mishalim kula. However, if it's another type of carrying instrument, then the one who's carrying has to pay for the whole thing. It's like a slingshot. It's like a Y, I think. And he puts his head like in the Y on those shoulders, carries the 2 things on the back, and holds onto the stick maybe. So he usually, what that's made for carrying 2 loads instead of 1. For one person to carry loads of 2 people instead of 1.
So that's a purpose-made device which should serve the job.
Carrying more than one person can normally carry, it's made for that. So he was carrying the load of 2 people, and he was misakin that Rav Chia bar Yosef was misakin there, that with this instrument, the person who would be carrying with this and break them, that it should be, he'd be chayav the whole thing. Rabba, right? And the reason is because Lamaisi, he was carrying the load of 2 people, and he broke it. So even though that's what's normally done, so see the Rashi where we are on the Gemara down about 5 lines. No, opposite where we are. Let's see, in the Rashi is just opposite where the new parak begins, down 2 lines. Mishalim kule, he should pay for the whole thing. The Posheha, he was Posheha for carrying, for overloading himself. Sheharbe b'masa shnei b'nei adam. He was l'maisa carrying the load of 2 people, and even though that's what the stick was made for, but he's going to be responsible for breaking them. Something more. Rabbi Barbar Chana Savrule Aneyu Shikule Chabisa de Chamira. So this person, he had hired people to carry things from the Shikule, and they broke his barrels of wine for him. So Shokel. So he took their jackets and he wanted to use it and not giving them back until I get my money back. Taking your jackets. So also Amru Rab, they went to Rab and told what happened, that they had worked carrying. In the end, they broke the barrels, and then Rab took their Rabbi Barchana took their jackets. So Amru Havlahu Glimayu. So Rab told them to give their jackets back. Amru Dina Hachi, is that the din? So Amru In, that's the din for you. You tell me that's the din, because the pasuk says in Mishlei, "Man telech b'derech toivim, orchos tzadikim tishma." You should go in the way of the good way, and the paths of the tzadikim you should show him. You should guard the paths of tzadikim. So he told them, so go and give the jackets back. So Amru le aniyeh anan V'tarchinan kula yoma v'kafinan v'leislan midi. We're poor. We don't have any. We worked all day. We don't have any food. V'leislan midi. We don't have. We're hungry, and we don't have anything. We don't have leislan midi. We don't have anything now to buy food with. So Omalei zil have a grayu. So he told the Rabbi Bar Chana also to give them their wage, even after having after they broke his vessels. Omalei dina hach, is that the din that they have to pay me? I don't have to pay them. Omalei in, that's the din, because the second part of the safe of that pasuk told us orchos tzedikim tishma. The kids they should be noyeg lefim mishur sadin. They should, as Talmidei Chachamim. Rashi says, right. Lefim mishur sadin. Derech toivim they learn is lefim mishur sadin. Hadron alach hasoicher esa umnin. Zok the Gemara. It's a new parak. Hasoicher esa poelim. Omar lehem lashkim la'ariv. So he hired workers and he told them he wants them to come early and stay late. So makom shenoigu shlo lahashkim v'shlo la'ariv enu rashai lechoifan. If that's not the minhag of the place to make them start early and go late, you can't force them to work those hours. Makom shenoigu lazon yazon, place where they feed the poilim, he should feed them. The sapek b'matika, if they give them something to go with their bread, whatever it is, mayonnaise or lifta, they should give that also. Yisapik. Hakol k'minhag Medina. Everything according to what the minhag, what is mikubal in that place, Medina. So Metzia Rabbi Yochanan ben Metzia, Sheomar libnoi, told his son, say socher lanu polim. So go hire for us polim. Holach v'posak le'em zon, as he went and he told them, we'll give you food. When he came back to his father, Omar Beni, you can't tell them you'll give them food, stam, without telling them exactly what type of food you give them, because food means which is roy for them to have be given to them. Even if you would give them a very great meal, like at the time of meals that were given in times of Shlomo Melech, when he was at his peak of covered of his malchus, so then you wouldn't be Yotzi Yerchoiv, because they are Imohen, Shehen B'nei Avram Yitzchak Yaakov. Once they are sons of Avram Yitzchak Yaakov, and Avram gave the biggest meals possible, you would have to give them like meals of Avram Avinu, and even which were even greater than the meals of Shlomo Melech. As we saw with each malach, he gave a whole buck or a whole ox he shechted in order to give each one a tongue. So you'll never be yotzi with these poilim that you hire to do work. You have to give them an amazing meal. So you have to run back and tell them before they start working that we're not giving them that. Or tell them specifically what we will give them. Until they start working. Hey, I want you to work for me, but it's on condition that you will only receive the following food, this food. Pas v'kitnius bilvad, nothing more. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel Omer, that it wasn't necessary even to tell them that he wasn't going to give them a lot. Omer lo haya sarich lomer hakol minhag Medina, because we go according to the minhag of the Medina. That's how they would have been fed. And they wouldn't have had any tinus. We wouldn't have been able to have any tinus on that. So the Gemara, Pshita, obviously, that so we said it's Posheha. You can't tell them to work longer hours. No, we thought that we needed to learn it in our mission. We thought that the Balabais could ask for longer hours. The Tofalahu Grayu, he actually gave them, or he was giving them, paying them more than usual. So you might think that since he's paying them more than usual, he can come with the time that I'm paying you more than usual because I want you to give me better hours, more hours. So Ma'adatemo Omar Lahu the Tofe Lahu Graihu Adaita de Makdisu Machachishu. ba'adai, in order that you should come early and leave late with me. Kamashmalan, that we see from our mission, he can't give them more wage and expect them to do more hours, because even then they can have a time back. They can say, the reason we knew we were getting more money, and when we accepted this work, we were accepting to take the more money and give you better work, but not give you more hours. To Omru, like, hi, the Tofat, Lan, Adaita de Dinan Lach, Avirata Shapirta. That's all. We thought we were going to give you better work, not that we are going to work more hours, and they have that schus to say that. Omar Ishlakish, Poyel, Bichnisoso, Mishlo, Bitziaso, Mishlo Balabayas. That a Poyel, Konderesh Lakish, when he is leaving work, so that's on his cheshbon, he has to like go longer hours. Rashi says Biknisaso when he's going back to the city, Mishalo. It's going to be on his cheshbon tzarich levate Mishalo, that he has to Mishalo etzel balabayas. So I think what he means is he has to give him work later towards till it gets dark. Ulechach shich etzlo. Mamish has to stay until shkia with him. But b'yitziyasa, when he comes in the morning, he doesn't have to come mamish before Allah Shacham, before the nates. B'yitziyasa mishul balabayas. When coming in the morning, so then he doesn't have to come that early. Rashi, second line down, mishul balabayas. Eino tzarich lahaktim ele iman esachama. All he has to do is come when the sun comes up, or right. So that's considered that it's on the cheshbon of the balabayas. They can come a little bit after the day started already. It's not mamash from the beginning of the day until the end of the day. The end of the day, yes, they have to stay till the beginning of the day. They don't have to mamash be there in the beginning of the day. And how do they know that? How do we know that? Shneimah, it says, Pasuk says, Tizra Hashemesh Yosefun Be'el Moinoisam Yirbatzun Yetzi Adam Lefaloi La'avodaso Ade Orev. So it says that when the sun will Tizra Hashemesh Yosefu, they will then gather. You can wait till night. When the sun starts shining, then you can go to work. Be'el Moinoisam Yirbatzun Yetze Odam Lefolo La'avodaso Ade Orev, until the Erev. So the Eraisa, this is a pasuk in Tehillim. So the Eraisa, we see that we're learning that Shnema. Ulechazi, why do we learn? Why is Reish Lakish learning that way? Why don't you just look at what the minhag of the Medina of the area is and go according to that? Why is he donning this? How this should be, we should deal with these poilim based on the psukim. Lichazi hechi nege beir nege. Just look how what the minhag is. And for the Gemara, Reish Lakish couldn't do that because we're dealing with a beir chodosha, because a new city where they don't have minhagim yet. But the Gemara, lichazi mehecha kaasu. So just see where the people were originated from and what the minhag of that they had in their original place was, and go according to that. And for the Gemara, no, we can't do that because we're dealing with bnei kutoye, people that were gathered into one place from different places, and each one had different minhagim, so we couldn't go according to those original minhagim. Ibo is saying another reason why Reish Lakish wanted to learn based on the pasuk of when the polim would come and go. To Amar Lahu, the agrisu li kipoil diaraisa, because in the case where the owner would hire them based on a poil diaraisa, which is based on the psukim, which is come a little bit late in the morning and leave and stay late and later. That's what Reish Lakish was talking about. One of those cases. Toresh Rebbe Zera, Omri La Tani Rebbe Tani Rab Yosef. So, what do we mean by the pasuk in Tehillim also? Toses choshech Vihi loila. When darkness will come, then it'll be dark. Then it will be night. Bo sirmois kol chayoso yoar. And then all the animals will come out. What's the pshat in that pasuk in Tehillim? So toses choshech vi'i loila zeh olam hazeh. And when it's darkness is it will be night. When it gets dark, it will be night. That's this world. Shadoim l'layla. This world is doimah to Laila, that we can't see clearly what's going on, what everything that is happening. Bo sirmois kol chayoso yoar. Then at that time the wild animals will come out into the forest. Elu Rishonim, these are the Rishonim that are roaming around the world. Shabo, that are in the world. Shadoimin lechaya shabiyah, that are doimah to the chayos in the forest, and that's the people Rishonim roaming this world. Tizrach, we have the pasuk that we read before. Tizrach hashemesh ye'asefum. When the sun will shine out, then the people will gather. Ve'el ma'inoisam yebotsun. So the pshat in that pasuk is Tizrach Hashemesh l'tzadikim. Sun will shine for tzadikim. Ye'asefun, and who will be gathered? Rishoyim legehenim. At that time, when the sun will shine for tzadikim, the Rishoyim will be gathered, taken to Gehenim. Ve'el ma'inoisam yebotsun. They'll be put in. What does that mean? They'll go to their place. That means that each tzaddik has his own type of dwelling based on the ma'asim that he did in this world. Ein lecha kol tzaddik v'tzaddik she'ein lo mader lefi kvodo. Every tzaddik gets a dwelling according to his kavod, according to what he did in this world. Yotza adam lefolo. Right. What does that mean? The pasuk says Yotza adam lefolo. So what is that talking about? That's Yotzu tzadikim lekabel schoron. It's talking about tzadikim who will then go to get their wages for what they did in this world. Ula avoidoso ade orev. What is that talking about? That who's going to get their wage? The person who stayed until the evening, meaning the tzaddik that remained a tzaddik all the way till the end of his life. B'mi shehishlim avoidoso ade orev. That who stays a tzaddik all the way to the end. Rabbi Elazar b'Rabbi Shimon. Weiter, new story. Rabbi Elazar b'Rabbi Shimon, Ashkach lahu paguna pagvona demalka tekotofis. He saw this policeman of the king that was grabbing a ganab, tofis ganve. So Amalei, what did Rabbi Elazar told him? Amalei, heki yochalt. How did you manage to catch them? They're so crafty. They're so tricky. They hide. They try to hide. How did you manage to catch them? Because he said, why was he amazed that he can catch a ganam? Because we have a pasuk. Love kichiyusa matle. Aren't they like compared to the animals of the forest that hide out during the day, and they only roam out? They come out in the night. Because it says, "Bo sirmois kol chayoso yoar." So how did you manage to get to them? Some say he quoted a different pasuk when he asked the police how he caught him. Mahai kro, komar le. He says there's a pasuk also in Tehillim says Yerov b'mistor ka'aryeh, that he lied in lair, is hidden like a lion besuko who waits in his little den waiting to pounce. So that's why he asked them, how did you manage to catch him? They lie in wait, like a lion in his waiting, hiding out. So Dilma, maybe you really didn't get the right one. Maybe you got someone who's a tzaddik. Dilma, shokalit, shoklat tzadiki, maybe you really took a tzadikim shavkot rishe, and you took and you left over the rishayim. Amalei. So, b'may avid, what should I do? Harmono de malkahu. The king told me to catch ganavim, so I'm catching ganavim. What can I do? So Omar, Tava agmarecho hechi tavi. Come and I'll tell you what you should do. Oil ba'arba sha'oil lechanusa. Go to the chanuk where everybody eats around 10 in the morning when they have their meal. Arba sha'oil. Day is divided into 6 hours. Actually, it's a bit later. About 12 hours. That would be around 10 in the morning. Arba shoy, the chanusa, where they eat. Everyone has their meal. Ki chazis inish to koshose chamira. They would go and look for the people that are drinking wine and they have the wine in their hand. They call minamnem, and they're dozing off. Why are they dozing off early in the morning? So shoyl iluye, go ask him who he is. So if he's a Talmud Chacham, the reason why he's dozing off is because he got up early in the morning to learn. Who? B'nayim akdume kodim legirse. He got up early to learn. If you ask him and he answers that he's a poil. So who kodim? Ko'avid avidate. He got up very early to do his work. Avidate b'leile redude radid. And sometimes they have night workers that they are able to, they pull the metal and they make needles. And doesn't make much noise and they work at night. So then that's why he's tired. And if he's not any of those, then he's a ganav. He was up stealing from everybody all night. Either he was breaking into houses or he was robbing people on the way at night. The Tafsing should then grab him. Ishtoma Milsa, Malka, then the king at the king's place, they heard about this Eitzah. Omru, Kraina de Igrusa, Iu le heavy Pukona. That it's a it's a saying. The one who is going to read the letter, he's the one that should bring the message. He's the one that should carry it. The one that's going to have to read it in the end, he should bring it. So let Rabbi Elazar be the police. Let him be the FBI. So Asiul le Rabbi Elazar, they brought Rabbi Elazar be Rabbi Shimon. Kotofi's ganve, and he was catching the ganavim. Ozil, Sholach le Rabbi Yeshua ben Kocher, he sent him a message. Chometz ben Yayin, hey, vinegar, son of Yayin. Meaning, what do you do? Your father was so great. You're a vinegar compared to him because what are you doing? You're turning in Yidden into the Malchus. Ad matayata moiser imo shel amo shel Elokeinu lahariga. How long are you going to keep turning Yidden into the Malchus to be killed? Sholach le kaitzim ani mikalo. I'm not minakerem. That I'm not taking tzaddikim. I'm turning in the genavim and the varyonim. So I'm cleaning out the kerem, the vineyard. So Rabbi Yeshua ben Korcha sent him back. Sholach le yovo bala kerem v'yichala es koitzai. No, it's not your job to be policeman and to catch all the bad people. Let Hashem weed out who he wants, or who he doesn't want, and do what people that do aver is what Hashem wants. Yom Echad Pogabe Ahu Koivas Koria Chometz Ben Yayin. There was a certain cleaner man, like dry cleaner type. It's a term that is used for someone that was he had done chatoim. He used to be a varion, and then he did tshuva. So they also use that term kovas. So he called Rabbi Elazar. He called him Chometz ben Yayin. Hey, Chometz ben Yayin. He called the nickname that Rabbi Shimon Korcha called him. It says Omar Chotziv Kuli Hai Shma Mina Rishia. Who? Since it's such a chotziv, he must be a Russia. So Omar Lahu Tafsu. So he told the policeman, grab him. Tafsu, and they grabbed him. Labasa Denach Daite. After he calmed down, he regretted having said that. Ozil Basre Le Fruke. He went after him to the place where they keep the prisoner, and they want to redeem him. He want to release him. Lo Matzi. He didn't find him because the king had already killed him. Kori Ole, so he said on a person like that, Shomer Piv L'Shaino Shomer Mitzaros Nafsho. Whoever watches their mouth saves themselves from a lot of pain. Here, a person opened his mouth, he said chutzpah, he ended up dying for it. Zakfu, they hung him. Kom Tate Zakifa, he was standing under the body as it was hanging. And he was crying because that he regretted what he did. So Omrulei, the Talmidim told him, Rebbe, Al Yoreh Beinecha, don't worry about it. Shehu B'no Balu Nara Marasa B'Yom Kippurim. He was a Russia. He was boiling Nara Marasa. Not only that, but on Yom Kippur, and not only that, with his son, he even taught his son to do such a thing. He was a very big Russian. It's good that you got rid of him. Taniach Yodo, so he felt better. He realized that it worked out that way. Haniach Yodo al B'nei Moav. He put his hand on his stomach, because what was it that his stomach? It wasn't his seichel that caused him to go and convict this person. It was his intuitions. It was his feelings. So he put his hands on his stomach. So Omar Sisu B'nei Moai. Sisu, be happy, my instincts, my stomach, my gut feeling that caused me to put this person away. Ma svekos shelchem kach v'doyes shelchem alachas kama v'kama. If the sveka ended up good, imagine when you think it through and you're certain about a person, must really be emes. Muftach ani b'chem, I promise you, she'ein rima v'toilah sholetes b'chem, that no worm will eat into you after death, meaning that I see that I was right and I'm going in the derech emes, and there's no sheker in me. So therefore, you don't have to worry about worms eating you. Right. So Afilu, even though he felt very good, but he didn't really feel very good, he still had a guilty conscience about what he did. But Afilu lo yasva daite, he didn't calm down. So what they do? He went to a surgeon, Ashkiuhu Sama Deshinta, and they gave him the drink some anesthesia to put him to sleep. Sama medicine to make him sleep. Shinta, Shinasa. Ailuhu Lebesa de Shisha, and they put him into the operating room, into a marble room where there's everything is surrounded by shayish. The wind can't blow in. It's also sterile, and also the wind doesn't blow in to give him a chill when his body's opened up. The karu lekrise, and they cut open his stomach. Vahavu mafku mine dekule the tarbe, that they took out buckets and buckets, measurements of fat. The sarve, the tarbo. V'moisve b'shimsha b'yimei tamuz v'ab, and then afterwards he put them into the sun in the middle of the summer months, and belos misarchen didn't rot. He wanted to see if he was going in the right way with Hashem, if his basar if he was emes through and through in his body. Lo misarche, and didn't rot. In fact, more, that's not a raya that his whole body through and through is emes. Kol tarbo nami lo suriach. Fat does by itself doesn't putrefy in the sun. Masriach. True. Kol tarbo lo suriach. True. Fat doesn't putrefy. Shraiki, Somke misriach, but the red streaks through the fat of blood or whatever, that causes putrefaction. And nevertheless, still didn't rot with him. Hocha, hocha, afal gav teika sruke sumke. He had those red streaks through the fat. Lo masriach still didn't turn rot. So Korya Nafshi, then he understood that his whole body through and through was emes. There was no sheker in him. So he called Af Besorai Yishkon Leveta. Even my flesh won't get eaten by the worms in the end when he's buried. And not only his neshama, but also his flesh won't get destroyed. Yishkon Leveta. And we'll stop here.